waiting for this moment. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Requiem for a Tuesday. Adam Pecora here. How the hell are you? Some grave technical difficulties cost us an episode last week. I apologize for that. You missed all my hot takes on Sydney Sweeney's jeans. Unfortunately, it seems like that's already gone, so we're just going to let that slide and move on. We're talking weapons today, hence the passionate introduction. I've been waiting for this since I saw Barbarian, which I wish I saw in theaters, but I did an episode about that whenever that was, and I could not have ranted and raved enough. I mean, I fucking love Barbarian, and I didn't like the ending. It was kind of weak for me, but the ride there was so fucking good that it's just like, to me, it's the equivalent of not liking a scene 20 minutes in, because it just didn't matter. The way that movie was structured, everything that fucking goes down, excellent. I mean, just as in Weapons, you have no idea where it's going. Now, Weapons, it's kind of picking at where it's going the whole time, so it intends on you to catch on a little sooner, but just what a movie. I mean, I'm on my knees, Zach. Unzip. Let's get to work, because I'm all in. To follow up with something bigger, bolder, and nail it. This is what Robert Eggers did. Now, not quite loving the trajectory there. We're going a little too commercial. Which that Cregger is already signed on to do Resident Evil, but he claims it's going to be much different on his interview on The Big Picture. So I'll listen. Here's the thing. You've got the crown right now. So what you do with it, I support. But this was magnificent. I saw it in IMAX. If you can see it in IMAX, see it in IMAX. It wasn't necessarily shot for IMAX, but, they still get it much larger. The sound is much better, and the score is awesome. A lot of 808s in there. A lot of Wolf X vibes, frankly. I'm not saying he bit me, but, I don't know what he listens to. I don't know what type of channels he's accessing. You got to dig pretty deep. I imagine no one has ever found anything I've ever done organically, period. So I'd be surprised. But it was great. Love me some 808s. And there was plenty. I don't know how I'm going to be able to talk about this without spoiling. I always spoil them. I do. But I think we're going to have to dive right in this case. The opening is excellent. Well, I'm going to backpedal immediately, per usual. The trailer is all you know going in, and that's the setup for the whole movie, and that's all they give you. There is more than something to be said for how powerful that is. To not know anything. I avoided everything. I saw the trailer. That's it. Trailer gives you nothing. You have no idea what the tone of this movie is going to be. And here's the thing. That's why, especially if you haven't seen it, go see it. Go see it. Stop. Turn this off. It doesn't matter. Because I didn't know what the fuck was going to happen. I assumed that this was going to be some super dark, eerie, creepy thing. Which, don't get me wrong, it's those things. But I had no idea what what the plot was even necessarily going to be other than the children going missing. I didn't know who was about to do what. I didn't know if shit was going to be exploding. Like, I didn't know what level we were getting to here. Like, is there going to be a war of some kind? No idea. You know what I mean? Is this like aliens or something? Could be. Thankfully, it is not. That's so good. It's so good because it helps itself build its own tension. Because I'm unaware of what the tone even is going to be, you know, I'm fucking like hiding like a bitch. My girlfriend's making fun of me for it still. Hey, I don't like like a sudden stab out of nowhere. It gets me. What are you going to do? I'm a jump scare. They work on me. Unless, you know, the good ones. If you see them coming, you know, there's nothing there. But, and like my point is that same thing where I'm cringing could end up being like comedic or like a tender, sympathetic moment or a vision. Not, you know what I mean? Like nothing to do with horror at all. Because like I'm locked in as if something's coming. And it's not. And they're building and they're building and they're building. And then it sweeps you under your feet. It's magnificent. Really. Like, really great. This was really great. Shout out to Zach Cregger. What a blast. Okay. I'm fired up, ladies and germs. Wow. What a great fucking movie. I just can't even believe it. I need to go again. So first of all, straight up, like, this is like if Steven Spielberg made like a true horror movie, which I guess technically kind of arguably happened allegedly with Poltergeist, which is just too dated for me to understand. So I apologize to the Poltergeist fans out there. It even has like a vintagey 80s kind of opening and title sequence thing, which I feel like is almost an homage. Like he kind of like knows how, like he's doing like a scale thing here that he's aware of, and nothing in the movie is like show-offy or anything. I'm not trying to act like that, but the camera work is phenomenal throughout this whole thing. So it begins with like a little girl doing a voiceover, which is creepy and effective, I think, explaining that at 2:17 in the morning, 17 out of 18, well, they just tell you every child in the classroom. It'll quickly undermine that. Just got up from their beds and just ran out of their house into the darkness, and nobody can find them. Nobody knows where they went. Nobody knows what happened. Because, I mean, essentially everybody was asleep. You know, nobody was aware that it happened until they woke up, I imagine, is the thing. And all of the kids were in like one third grade classroom, like under one teacher, to make it extra odd. And then they say this is, it's like, this is based on a true story. The news has suppressed this story. If you go to this town, everyone will tell you that this happened. You know, even though it's like a buried thing. And so in the immediate aftermath, obviously people are very distraught. They immediately blame the teacher. And she's like, I don't fucking know what happened. Which I kind of believe her right away. Julia Garner, who is the super hillbilly bitch in Ozark. And she annoys the fuck out of me in Ozark. She's a good actress and everything, but that accent, it's just, she is a hillbilly, and I just don't want to watch hillbillies, I think, is the thing. Whatever it is. She's very dislikable to me in that. I was able to bypass that, especially when she spoke and her voice was not hillbilly. That was beneficial to me. And she was great in this. She's immediately kind of vilified by all the parents. They kind of just like need someone to blame. The police are looking into it. The FBI's looking into it. And the thing about the intro is they say they all left, never to be seen again. And nobody knows what happened. And then the movie kind of slowly tells you what happened. So that's the one thing that's a little weird to me, that I'm misunderstanding something, or maybe she's telling it like in the present moment, and then later on in the movie they find out what happened. Like that's the thinking. Whatever. It's a little nitpicky thing where I'm just like, well, that's kind of not true. But it's still in yin. So whatever. You're basically slowly going on the discovery of what transpired. So, and it's like a web of characters interconnected, and their stories are chopped up into chapters, and basically the point where they intersect resets, and we start from that new person till we catch up to another connection, and then we go back and we start from that person, and then we catch up to another intersection of character, and it just keeps going like that, and builds and builds and builds and builds and builds until we've introduced everyone, and then everyone merges and the story just skyrockets forward. It's just a magnetic structure. I was locked the fuck in for every second of this movie. I mean, what a fucking banger, son. Are you fucking kidding me? Okay. So the teacher is put on like leave of absence essentially for like her safety. Because people want to kill her and they know where to find her when she's at school. They show that the police questioned her, and so there was one student who also showed up to class. So 17 out of 18 kids. It wasn't actually every kid. They questioned him. They questioned the teacher. They're just kind of like, yeah, I mean, they don't seem like they're lying about this, So they're kind of just let go, but she needs to like try to go back to work, but she has like one student. And either way, that's like weird. They explain that it would be like traumatic for the kid to just be in the class with her because it would just be a constant reminder, whatever. So he gets transferred like to another class, and they're like, bitch, you just gotta like get away from here. And so she basically just starts drinking a bunch of booze. There's a really high tension scene where she thinks she's like going to be attacked, and then someone kind of like fucks with her, and they're like ding dong ditching. But you're like, is she just going to get murdered? Like, again, like I don't know what to expect in this movie at all. So it's very effective. And then she goes outside, and somebody painted witch on the side of her truck or SUV, whatever. And what happens from there? Then she goes down to a bar, and she links up with like a cop, and she like coerces him into drinking even though he doesn't want to, and then they like hook up. And they clearly have like some type of history, and he alludes that he's like seeing somebody, but they just broke up or something. And so, yeah, anyway, back to my thing. So I'm pretty sure that at this point, like when she's put on leave, this was like a time jump. So this could allude to the, like, they were never seen again, but now it's like, it's actually a month later, and she just said they were never to be seen again, like, at the time or whatever. So, I mean, there's ways around this silly nitpicky argument anyway. The cop is the guy who played like Solo, I guess, which I didn't see. Nobody did, but he was awesome. So he was like a dramatic Jake Johnson. um, so that was kind of weird. But then it cuts to. Is this when it cuts? I don't know. But anyway, at some point it cuts to Josh Brolin. Josh Brolin's like the dad of one of the kids who disappeared, and he's like taking it very hard. He's sleeping in his kid's bed. It's clearly causing problems with his wife, although she's only really in the movie to like express that they have a problem, and then she's never back in it, which is also kind of indicative of the problem, I suppose. Anyway, he basically is like poring over the footage because they have like a ring cam, and he kind of like watches his kid, and they kind of like they're like he's like Naruto running out into the woods. You've seen that in the trailer. And he pretty much like pulls out like a map, and he's like fucking up at work. So it's like consuming him very much. So he like pulls out a map of the city, and he just like tries to figure out where his kid ran to. He thinks maybe it was like an electrical tower in town for some reason. So anyway, he just like basically draws a straight line across town. Where did my kid go? And then, of the kids that disappeared, he starts like driving to each of their houses and see who else has a camera, or that he finds out who else had footage. And he's like, I know you submitted it to the cops, but like, can I see it? I just want to see it. And the lady's like, fuck no. And then he waits for the dude to get home, and it's Justin Long, shout out. Clearly a hookup move after Barbarian, which I respect it. And Justin Long's like, yeah, for sure, I'll show you. Like, immediately just contradicts the wife, and she's standing there super pissed off. And so he figures out which direction she's going. And so they kind of look at the intersection, and it's like, okay, they're both running in this exact direction. So he's kind of doing his thing together. And then it's revealed that while he was fucking up at work, so in the beginning, the teacher is being yelled at, but the camera's on her by a parent. And then this time, the camera was on Josh Brolin, and you realize that it was him. So one of the things he did wrong at work was he like bought the wrong paint for a certain job because he's like a foreman or whatever. And so he says he's going to return the paint, but the paint ends up in his car, and it's revealed that he's the one who fucked with the teacher, and he painted Witch on her car because, he really needs to blame her. So then he's kind of like conducting his own little investigation. Meanwhile, the teacher is concerned about the one student who was around in the class, and so she ends up going to his house. Now, his house the windows are all covered in fucking newspapers. It's creepy as hell. And then she sneaks around to the back, and she peeks into the house, and people are just sitting on the couch, like staring, and she thinks she like got caught. And then she goes back, and they're still just like staring there. So you're like, what the fuck? Are they just like corpses? Like, what's going on exactly? And she was like knocking on the door also, and nobody was answering. So that's why she went around. It wasn't just like she jumped to like freaking out. But clearly like some fucked up shit is going on. So then she just kind of like stalks the house pretty much and just sits outside, but she's like drinking. So it's clear she has like an alcohol problem. They're referencing it constantly. She goes to the liquor store. She goes to a bar. She's drinking out here. And she falls asleep, and then a lady comes out with fucking scissors, and she fucking breaks into her car and cuts a piece of her hair, and you're like, what the fuck's going on? And then, boom, it cuts again, and it starts with this, like, drug addict dude, and you're like, what's going to happen here? And this dude is, well, okay, before it cuts to the drug addict, at some point it cuts to the cop, and I don't know. Maybe I'm mixing these two up. But either way, let's just do this part first. So at some point, it cuts to the cop. And the cop, it's revealed, is in AA, and he breaks his alcohol thing because he's all stressed out because of a bunch of, like, familial factors and whatever. And then he breaks it when he's with the teacher, and then he fucks the teacher. But then he goes home the next morning, and it's revealed that his wife was just out of town, or girlfriend or whatever, and she came home like earlier than he thought she was going to come home. And he basically gets caught, and it like makes his life worse because like her dad is like his boss at the police station or whatever. And then he fucking goes out and sees this drug addict dude like breaking into a place, and he chases him down or whatever, finally catches him, and then he's like, I'm going to search you. Do you have anything that's going to poke me? And he's like, no. And then he does, and it pokes him, and then he decks the dude in the fucking head, which is like super illegal because he's handcuffed. So then he realizes that his camera was on in the car too, so he's fucked. So he's like, all right, dude, I'll let you go. Just don't fucking say anything, and don't let me see you again. And that's pretty much where that is. And so when it cuts back to the drug addict dude, it shows that he basically just like robs cars and like steals from houses, whatever he can, so he can like pawn shit to buy drugs is the thing. And he ends up going into the little kid's house because there's a bunch of newspapers out on the driveway and the windows are all taped up. So to him, it looks like it's just like abandoned or nobody's home or whatever. And he gets in and he's able to like take a bunch of shit. And then he finds the fucking parents just like sitting on the couch, like basically zombies. And then he goes into the basement and boom, all the fucking kids are in there. And they reveal it to you. This is like midway through the movie. And it's like, okay, wait, so they didn't go missing forever. Here they are. And I doubt it's going to be no one knows what happened to them. It seems like we're definitely going to find out what happened to them. And so then he realizes this is all after he gets punched by the cop. So after he gets punched by the cop, he stumbles into this house. And then when he goes back to the pawn shop to pawn off the stuff he stole from that house, which he got attacked by somebody while he was at the house too. Maybe not. I don't remember. But anyway, he gets out of the house and he goes to the pawn shop, and then he sees a poster that there's a reward if you know anything about the missing kid. So he calls in so he can get $50,000 for the reward because he does actually know where the kids are. And then he's like, I'll come to the police station and I can show you where the house is, where they are. But the dude who punched him and told him to never be around him again sees him immediately, and he knows that his dad or father-in-law knows that he cheated on his daughter. So he's like extra pissed, extra fucked, and he just like guns it at this dude. So the dude runs away. Then he goes into the woods and he sees this like crazy clown looking lady, which popped up in both the teacher and Josh Brolin's dreams. And he freaks out. And then he thinks that she's coming after him because he's like in a tent in the woods. And then the tent opens and he stabs the fucking cop in the face with needles, which is hilarious. And then the dude points a fucking gun at him. I'm like, oh my God, he's going to shoot him in the head. And then nobody's going to know what happened to the kids. No, he convinces him that he legitimately knows. And he's like, fuck, I got to like follow up on this. So he takes him to the house, goes into the house, in there for hours, leaves the dude handcuffed in the back of his car for hours, comes out, and he's all like zombie guy. And he just opens the door and drags him into the house. And then now it cuts back again. I don't know if I have all the cutbacks in order, but I'm just telling each individual storyline, I guess. Then there's the principal of the school. They go to him very briefly, and he gets a call from the teacher who's like, you need to do a wellness check on this kid. Like, something is not right. And, you know, he just, like, relents. He's like, you need to fucking, like, leave this alone, and you're on leave, and, like, you can't be bothering this kid. And she was like, I went to the house. It was fucked up. Like, just do it. Like, you got to do it. So then this fucking crazy clown lady shows up at the principal's office, and she's like, I'm his aunt. The parents are both sick. And he's like, well, I have to talk to the parents. Like, it's a legal thing. Like, it's got to be legal guardians. And she's like, oh, okay. Like, after being very weird and, like, uncomfortable and all that. And then she just shows up at his house, and he's about to eat with his gay husband. And they're gonna eat 7 hot dogs. And she's like, I need water. And he's like, no, get the fuck out of my house. But the husband's like, no, let her in. Like, what are you talking about? That's crazy. And then she asks for the water in a bowl. And immediately it's obvious she's faking. Like, she goes from, like, claiming to be desperate for water and then is, like, jumping around the house and, like, being, like, very exuberant and all this shit. And then she does this. I forget how she gets the guy's hair, but she does this thing where she, like, cuts her finger with a rose thorn. But she cut some of the guy's hair. I don't even remember how that happened. And then she wrapped his hair around it. And then she, like, broke it, like, with her blood, all mixed in. And then that made him, like, one of those, like, zombie people, like the kid's parents. And he, like, just violently kills his husband. And it's like, he, like, headbutts him to death. It's, like, crazy graphic. And then so she was the one who earlier cut some of the teacher's hair while it was in her car. And then she fucking does it again, and the dude just runs after her. This is the part that I missed at the beginning. Okay. The teacher and Josh Brolin interact at the gas station. They're both there at the same time because they're trying to figure out what happened. Or he's confronting her. He might just be confronting her while they both happen to be there. Anyway, yes, I believe that is what it is. And then all of a sudden the principal just runs at them with this, like, crazy psycho look on his face. And then that's when it cut away from them. Anyway, now we're back there. The principal's just sprinting all the way across town, same in that Naruto pose. And he comes at them and, well, just at her, like in a beeline. And she ends up getting away with his help. He, like, pushes the dude into, like, a freezer at the mini mart in the gas station. She's able to get in the car and run away, and then he's killed by, like, an oncoming car because he's literally just, like, sprinting in a straight line in the middle of the road. Like, uncontrollably, nonstop. And they also do, like, allude to, like, a parasitic lesson, like, right at the beginning of the movie, right before all the kids disappear. So it's funny how this is, like, kind of the same thing because they, you know, and then later they show, like, another type of, like, the mushroom infection thing, kind of like in The Last of Us, but where it goes into the bugs and then they become zombies or whatever. There's, like, a thing about that in the movie as well, which is essentially what happens to these people. They just get, like, infected with, like, a nonstop killing spree streak thing. And so he dies. And then they basically begin investigating at their house. Like, they team up after that because he's like, that guy was running the way my kid was running and the way her kid was running. So this is, like, all connected. Like, clearly you weren't involved as the teacher, and clearly, like, you do care, and you, like, you know that this kid. And then he looks at her. She looks at his map and sees that the intersection kind of aligns with where the kid who survives house was. So they're kind of getting in on the house together. At some point, though, it cuts back to the lady. Yeah, see, I don't remember all the cutbacks at the right moments. And you basically discover that the lady just showed up at their house one day, and it's like a distant aunt who has nowhere else to go, and she's like dying, and they think she has like cancer or whatever. And it shows that like the kid and his parents, they're all like very loving and having a good time, and they're very nice. And I really like the guy who played the dad, whoever that is. He was very magnetic. I don't know why, but I liked him. He seemed very believable as like a cool young dad. Anyway, that's the cool young dad I aim to be one day when I'm old, or ironically. Anyway. So they like don't know who she is, but the wife is basically insisting, and the dad doesn't want it, and it's like, yeah, there we go. Sounds about right. Nobody listens. You know what I mean? Am I right, fellas? That was a applause break. Anyway, thank you. She shows up and is like immediately weird as hell, and then she, does whatever spell weird shit to like disable the parents, and the kid's like, what's fucking happening? And he knows right away. And then she's like, you need to stop fucking around. And then the kid's kind of like resistant, but they're just like still in a trance. And then she like orders them to like stab themselves in the face over and over again. And he's like, yeah, okay, I believe you now. Like, I'll fucking do whatever you say. And she's like, yeah, don't fucking tell anybody anything. You got to feed these fucking things Campbell's chicken noodle soup all the time to keep them alive, and then that's it. You don't fucking tell anybody, and I do whatever I do. And it's revealed that essentially, like, she is dying, and she's like trying to use them to keep them alive. So presumably she's gone through like the rest of her distant family as well, or whatever, or she never was part of the family and like just tricked her way in, and that's why they don't know her. But she claims to have like met them before, but it's unclear if that's legitimate or not. Like, she completely, just grifts around like this or whatever the deal is. It's unclear. It's unclear to me. Anyway, she discovers that like the parents aren't enough, and she needs like more power or whatever. So she gets the kid to get an item of each of the kids in his class, so she can like use all of their power to stay alive, basically. So that's why all the kids at the same time are drawn. They run straight to the house in that Naruto style, and it looks crazy. And the intro movie shows them running to some killer music, and it's just fucking incredible. You're so locked in right away. So that's what happens there. That's how that happened. It's a witch trying to stay alive, feeding off the local children. And he never tells anybody, he's able to just like lie to the cops or whatever because he doesn't want his parents to die. And he thinks like, okay, maybe she will just like leave, but she's never going to leave. She's going to just keep doing this forever or whatever. Then eventually, Josh Brolin and the teacher roll up to the house, and they walk in, and then there's like salt on the ground, and they cross the salt, and that like triggers the cop and the junkie to kill them because that like set off the whatever. And they struggle, but the cop is like trying to strangle because like that's how they do it or whatever. And she's like, well, she grabs his gun and has to kill him, which is unfortunate because of their history and all of that, obviously. And Josh Brolin just keeps like knocking out the junkie, and he just keeps getting up, and it's pretty hilarious. And it's like over and over and over again, and they do it like 4 times too many, but it's not too many, which is what makes it good, and that it was excellent. But he eventually stops him. I don't know if he kills him or what happens. I think, yeah, she comes through with the gun and finishes him, I think, is what happens. And then he goes down into the basement to try to find his kid. He does find his kid, but then the witch is down there, and then she gets him. So then he starts attacking the teacher. Meanwhile, the kid crosses another salt line that activates his parents, and his parents are trying to kill him now, the kid. As he's running away from his parents, he goes into the witch's bedroom, and he grabs her, like, wig, which has some of her, like, real stringy, nasty witch hair in it. And he grabs that, and he copies what she does. So I think this does mean that they are related, right? For it to work, whatever. They don't explain any mythology here, which is great. You don't find out, like, her history or her anything. Like, everything just is. And it's, like, all for you to decide. It's great. It's great. We don't need all this. But see, I'm doing it, and that's nice. That's the beauty of it. Anyway. He is able to do it on her, and so that, like, undoes everything. And I feel like the adults just kind of stay still. Do they run after them too? I don't know. Maybe that part doesn't really make sense for them to not, but all of the kids snap out of it, and now their job is to kill the witch. And they basically, like, run and chase her throughout a neighborhood, and it's this, like, long extended chase sequence. It's kind of like Ferris Bueller if he, like, damaged everybody's house. It was swarmed by a mob of children, and then they just fucking, like, pull her to shreds, and it's like a super satisfying, awesome kill. And then it's just kind of over. Once she is dead, everybody's fine. But I guess it's weird that the adults didn't also chase her. But I don't know. No, because they weren't in a trance. But I guess the parents should have then, at least. Because the other people were just, like, to kill. But those people were, like, tranced. I don't know. Whatever. Overthinking it. Doesn't really matter. And then they basically just reveal, like, yeah, the kid's parents were out of it for so long that they, like, never recovered. And they had to, like, ship them to an institution. And the kid had to, like, go into foster care. So that actually didn't work out too well for him. All of the other kids were returned to their parents, but almost none of them started speaking, but some of them did begin to speak. Like, that's, like, the positive note of that. I don't know if they gave, like, an update on the teacher. I mean, I guess she just, like, got another job or something. I don't really remember. And then that's it. It just ends. And it was fucking incredible. I don't know if me explaining it is incredible, but the jump cuts at the perfect time that give you just a little bit more of the story, but also teach you more about another character or something else about, like, it is just magnificent, completely engrossing. There's a sequence. Josh Brolin has a few nightmares. The teacher has some nightmares, and they kind of see the clown lady in the nightmares. So it's kind of like an interconnected thing. The meme has already gone around. This is like Magnolia meets, what's the movie I'm thinking of? Fucking Denis, my guy. Prisoners. Yes. Which I can see it. I mean, Cregger's kind of said it. The Magnolia element is definitely there. Like, the cop is like a John C. Reilly replica in ways. There's similarities throughout for sure, but I mean, just excellent. Everything about it was just fantastic. Like, this is why we go to the movies, ladies and gentlemen. This is it. We're here. We did it. This is what we wanted. Fucking take it like a bitch. Open your throat up for fucking this shit. I didn't even know what to say. I'm not a cool guy. Thank you, Zach Cregger. Just what a beautiful, beautiful thing. But yeah, there's a moment where he's having a nightmare and an AK-47 pops up in the sky, And it's, like, is this an allegory for school shooting? Is this a metaphor for this? Is this a metaphor for that? I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe it is. Think about it. That's the beauty. It's excellent. It's excellent. Go see fucking Weapons. I might go again. That was great. To do that in Eddington back to back, those might be the two best movies I've seen this year, both with a lot of twists and turns and things to say. Weapons is thoroughly more just directly entertaining. I mean, like I said, Spielbergian, and I say that with all the compliments. Also, being the guy who's like, I don't really love Spielberg movies, but I just mean like the style of it is similar. The scale is impressive. Like this guy can fucking direct his fucking ass off, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen. What a slurp fest this has been. I knew I was going to do it. But I mean, this fucking blew me away. It was marketed perfectly. I mean, almost a little misleading in that you think it's going to be this big scary thing, but it doesn't feel like a betrayal of expectations. Like, there's definitely scary moments and all this stuff. But this is just like so much more than a horror film, and not in like an elevated horror quote unquote way. Like, this is like I don't even know what to say. It's just like you wouldn't call Pulp Fiction just like it's an action movie, but like it is. You know what I mean? It's kind of like that. Like, this is just excellent. This is a prestige film. Let's put it like that. This is big time stuff. Okay? Look out, Jordan Peele. This guy's right there. I hope that Resident Evil movie fucking bangs. Let's go. He said he's got another one in the cannon right after. Let's go. Zachy, I fucking love this guy. Makes me want to go back and watch The Whitest Kids You Know. If he was doing that shit, I bet it was excellent. Probably not, though. Probably wasn't that great. But I'd check it out. I love you. Go watch Barbarian if you haven't seen that either. What a fucking just beautiful, excellent movie. Weak ending. I mean, the sequence at the end of the witch killing and everything was masterful. So I guess it was good to just be like, let's just fucking end it. Like, there's like another little wrap up right after that real quick. Just put a bow on it. And then it just kind of ends, and you're kind of like, oh, I don't know why I kind of wish there was like just a little bit more something. But that's good to leave you wanting a little bit more something. That's the thing. They did pull off the great ending. All the ideas, leave them up in the air. Try to grab them. You can't. Shout out. Shout out. My God. All right. Thank you for tuning in to Requiem for a Tuesday. I am Adam Pecora, as always. Rate, review, and subscribe. Share. Get the word out. Nobody's gotten the word out in 5 years, so you guys aren't doing your job, frankly. But that's okay. I do this for my sanity, mostly. Check out all the links in the description below. Music, Multiplex, Wolfx. If you want to hear some Weapons score-inspired jams, check out some Wolfx. Check out, what's that one? Loop? Something with a loop. Infinite Loop? Is that what it's called? Circuit Loop. That's what it is. That's all 808s. Home Invasion, 808, heavy. Yeah. Rate, review, and subscribe. Share the episode. Do the thing. Maybe next week. Maybe next week. If not the week after. We'll see what happens. I'm a little rambunctious. Then I get a little sugar in me. And I get a little cuckoo. Okay. Links in the description below. Rate, review, subscribe. Follow me on Instagram, adam.rfat. Do the thing. And remember, I are fat. You are fat. We are fat. Calculator.